Good morning, dear Sangha. Today is May the 6th in the year 2008, and we are in Hanoi, Kim Lien Hotel for our retreat with the theme Engage Buddhism in the 21st century. There is a technical term, formation. This Buddhist technical term, formation. The Sanskrit is samskara. And the Buddha said that all formations are impermanent, always changing. And we can distinguish between physical formations, biological formations, and mental formations. A flower is a formation because many elements have come together in order to help the flower manifest. We see the cloud, the sunshine, the seed, the soil, the farmer, the gardener, and many other elements that have come together in order to help a flower manifest. And that is why a flower is called a formation. Samskara, a formation. And that formation called flower is impermanent. It is always changing. When I look at my hand, I know this is also a formation. Many elements have come together in order for my hand to manifest. Ancestors, mother, father, food, experiences in the past, and so on. Many elements have come together in order to help my hand manifest as a biological formation. My body is a formation. Kaya samskara, the formation called body. And when I have anger, joy, forgiveness, some of our feelings, our perceptions are all mental formations, and all mental formations are impermanent. Not only physical formations are impermanent, but physiological, biological formations are impermanent, and mental formations are also impermanent. All formations are impermanent. That is a statement made by the Buddha. And when we observe one formation, we should be able to see the nature of impermanence in each formation. This word is the Chinese translation of formation. All the formations are impermanent. We want to talk about mental formations this morning. In my tradition, we count 51 categories of mental formations. As a novice monk, I had to learn by heart the name of these mental formations. There are positive, wholesome mental formations, like compassion, loving kindness, joy, forgiveness, mindfulness, concentration, insight. There are many wholesome, wonderful mental formations in us. And the practice consists in recognizing these mental formations, these wonderful mental formations in us, and help them to manifest. We also have negative mental formations like craving, anger, hate, violence, jealousy. And the practice consists in refraining from touching them, from watering these seeds of unwholesomeness, so that they don't have a chance to manifest. So there are positive, wholesome mental formations. There are negative, unwholesome mental formations. And there are also a few mental formations that can be either wholesome or unwholesome. Like the mental formation called thinking. Thinking can be good, can be helpful, but thinking can be destructive. So there are three kinds of mental formations: wholesome, unwholesome, and indefinite. They can be wholesome or unwholesome. Practicing meditation, we have to be there in the here and the now, in order to recognize whatever formation is manifesting. Yesterday we learned about the formation called body. Breathing in, I'm aware of my body. The body is a formation. And when we are aware of our body, we may be aware that there is tension, stress, pain in our body. All these things belong to the realm of physiological formations. So anything that happens into your body, you are aware of it. If there is pain in your body, you are aware that there is pain in our body. If there is relaxation in our body, we know that there is relaxation in our body. Mindfulness is the kind of energy that helps us to be aware of the formations that are going on. The same thing is true with mental formations. When there is a mental formation called joy, we are aware that there is joy in me. When there is the mental formation sorrow manifesting, we know that the mental formation sorrow is in me. When there is the mental formation irritation manifesting, we are aware that the mental formation irritation is in me. So mindfulness, first of all, is the power to recognize the kind of formation that is there, that is happening in the present moment, whether they are physical, physiological, or mental. In the 51, among the 51 mental formation, we know that there are wholesome, wonderful mental formations like mindfulness, concentration, insight, loving kindness, compassion, joy, peace. And everyone has these wonderful mental formations that exist in form of bijas. It means seeds. We have the seed of anger that lay in the bottom of our consciousness. And because that seed of anger is sleeping down there, we are okay. We are not angry. It does not mean that we don't have the seed of anger in us. But if someone says something, does something that touches the seed of anger in us, it will manifest as a mental formation. So before it becomes a mental formation, it is a seed, a chủng tử, a bija. So a bija that is touch, that is water, become a samskara, a citta samskara, a mental formation. We also have wholesome mental formations like forgiveness, loving kindness, compassion. And we need to know how to touch these seeds, to water these seeds so that they have a chance to manifest. When they manifest themselves, we are happy. And if they continue to slip down there, we cannot be happy. Our consciousness consists of at least 2 layers. And down here we have a store consciousness. And up here we have mind consciousness. All the bijas, all the seeds are here. Wholesome and unwholesome. 51 kinds of seeds. And when the seed of anger is water, it manifests itself up here in the realm of mind consciousness as a mental formation. Here is only a seed. And according to the practice recommended by the Buddha, every time a seed of anger, the seed of anger or frustration manifests as a mental formation, we should not allow it to be there alone. We should try to invite another seed to manifest. And usually we invite the seed of mindfulness to manifest. And to manifest as another mental formation. And this is the mental formation called anger. This is a mental formation called mindfulness. Mindfulness is invited up here as a kind of energy to recognize the other mental formation. And that practice is the practice of mindfulness of anger. Mindfulness is always mindfulness of something. When you breathe mindfully, that is mindfulness of breathing. When you walk mindfully, that is mindfulness of walking. When you are angry and you are aware that you are angry, that is mindfulness of anger. Those who do not practice, they only have anger as a mental formation. And they allow the energy of anger to cause a lot of damage. But those of us who are practitioners, we never let anger be alone. it always invite mindfulness to come up in order to take care of anger. And anger is still there, but mindfulness is already there in order to take care of anger. That is the practice of mindfulness of anger. Suppose this is not the seed of anger that manifests, but it is the seed of depression. And when the seed of depression come up, we suffer. The landscape of mind consciousness is not peaceful, is not happy. And when depression manifests, we should know how to invite the seed of mindfulness to manifest. And the energy of mindfulness will recognize the energy of the depression. There is no fighting. There should be no fighting going on between the two kinds of energy. Because the job of mindfulness is just to recognize things as they are. And then to embrace whatever is there in a very tender way, like a mother would embrace her child when the child suffers. The mother is working in the kitchen, but she hears the baby crying. She knows that the baby suffers. So she goes into the baby's room and she picks the baby up and she holds the baby tenderly in her arms. And tenderness, the energy of tenderness of the mother begin to penetrate into the body of the child. And after a few moments, the child feels better. This happens also with the practice of mindfulness. This is the energy of anger, of depression. With the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, we generate the energy of mindfulness. The seed of mindfulness becomes the mental formation of mindfulness. And with this energy, we recognize the other energy, and we can embrace the other energy with tenderness. There's no fighting. There's only supporting, helping. And Buddhist meditation is based on the principle of non-duality and non-violence. Non-duality because not only mindfulness is you, but anger is also you. Not only mindfulness is you, but depression is also you. So you are taking care of yourself. You are not fighting against yourself. And that is why we say that Buddhist meditation is based on the principle of non-duality. You are both the anger and the mindfulness. No fighting is needed. We only need to recognize. We only need to embrace tenderly. There is no attempt to suppress, to fight. And therefore the practice is non-violent. Non-duality leads to non-violence. When we have a feeling, whether that feeling is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, as a practitioner, you become aware of the feeling. You recognize the feeling. You accept the feeling as it is. You don't have that intention to fight the feeling. Whether the feeling is pleasant or unpleasant, or both pleasant and or mixed, pleasant and unpleasant at the same time. To become aware of the mental formation is the practice. There is a river of feelings flowing day and night in us. And the practitioner is there in order to recognize every feeling as it manifests, as it stays for some time, and as it dies down. That is the practice of contemplation of the feelings. In the Sutra of the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, the Buddha advised us to focus our mindfulness on the body first. The in-breath and the out-breath belongs to the body. So mindfulness of breathing belongs to the first realm of practice. Body. When I practice breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body. I'm dealing with my body as object of mindfulness. When I practice total deep relaxation, I become aware of every part of my body. I bring relaxation to every part of the body that belong to the realm of the practice of contemplation, contemplating the body in the body. But this morning we move into the second realm of practice. We practice being aware of the feelings and the emotions. Feelings and emotions may be pleasant or unpleasant, but we should be there as practitioners in order to recognize them and to take good care of them, like a mother would take good care of her baby. If that is a pleasant feeling, you say, breathing in, I'm aware that a pleasant feeling is in me. We should not try to identify ourselves with the pleasant feeling and allow it to carry us away. If it is a painful feeling, and then you say, breathing in, I'm aware of the unpleasant, painful feeling in me. Just become aware of it and not trying to fight, to push, to suppress it. This is very important. Non-violence, non-duality. And like in the case of the mother embracing, holding the baby tenderly, a few minutes later, the painful mental formation will be less painful. You get a relief after having hold tenderly the painful feeling with the energy of mindfulness. The energy of mindfulness is the mother, and the painful feeling is the ailing child. So just be there for your child. Recognize your child that is suffering and hold your child tenderly, and after a few minutes you get a relief. So mindfulness, first of all, has the function to recognize and then to hold and to bring a relief. But mindfulness also carries within itself the energy of concentration. When you are mindful of the flower, and if you maintain your mindfulness alive for a long time, concentration begins to be powerful. So mindfulness leads to concentration. Mindfulness leads to concentration. And with concentration, you can take a deep look into the nature of what is there. That is deeper. That is a deeper level of meditation. First you recognize, and then you look deeply. And if you look deeply with concentration, you discover the roots. You discover the very nature of what is. And with that kind of insight, with that kind of understanding, you can be liberated from that kind of sorrow, pain, anger, or despair. So mindfulness is a kind of energy that contains within itself the energy of concentration. And the energy of concentration contained within herself the energy of insight. And insight is the factor of liberation. In Buddhism, we do not speak of salvation by grace, but salvation by insight. And insight comes only when you have a strong concentration. And in order to nourish, cultivate concentration, we should practice mindfulness. Mindfulness, concentration, insight is the heart of Buddhist meditation. These are three kinds of energies that we can cultivate in every moment of our daily life. While breathing, walking, washing, driving, cooking. These energies can be cultivated at any time and everywhere. Even when you drive your car, it is still possible for you to practice mindfulness of driving and concentration and getting the insight. You don't need to go into a monastery in order to practice mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Although the atmosphere of the monastery is very supportive to that kind of practice. It's very important to learn how to use the energy of mindfulness in order to recognize the painful feeling, the painful emotion in us. Not only we can bring about a relief, but we can also practice looking deeply into the nature of the feeling, of the emotions in order to get the insight. And once we get the insight, we are liberated from that painful emotion like a fear, despair, anger. And when we speak of engaged Buddhism, if we speak of the kind of Buddhism that is present in our daily life at every moment first. Because when they hear about engaged Buddhism, they think of fighting for social justice, fighting for human rights, organizing manifestation, demonstration, and so on. But that is not true. That is part of the practice, but not the basic part. The basic part is to have the practice alive in every moment of your daily life. You should be there in order to attend to what is happening in the here and the now. In the realm of the body, in the realm of the mind, in the realm of the environment. So engaged Buddhism is to respond to what is happening in body, in mind, and in environment. That is quite a simple definition. To respond to physiological formation, to respond to mental formation, to respond to physical formations. In 1954, I was a young Dharma teacher, quite young. And the Buddhist institute where I taught is Ấn Quang. Then the Ấn Quang temple is still there in Ho Chi Minh City. You can come and visit. In fact, since 1949, already I was helping to build the Ấn Quang temple. I was one of the founders of the Ấn Quang Buddhist Institute in Ho Chi Minh City. And I taught the first class of novice in that temple. The temple was very simple. It was built with bamboos and thatch. In fact, the name of the temple was Ứng Quang. And there was a Dharma teacher who came from Da Nang, and his name is the Venerable Trí Hữu. And I helped him. We both built Ứng Quang temple, Trí Hữu. The war was going on between the French and the Vietnamese resistance movement. 5 years later, the country was divided into the North and the South. And the North was communist, and the South was anti-communist. And over 1 million of people migrated from the North to the South, among them many Catholics. There was a lot of confusion in the country. The Geneva Accord was signed, and the country was divided into two parts. At the Ứng Quang temple, from time to time we receive a French soldiers who came to visit us. The French soldiers, the French army was preparing to get out of the country. After Dien Bien Phu, and then the war with the French ended, and it was agreed that the country should be divided, and the French will withdraw from the country. I remember talking to these French soldiers. Many of them have come to Vietnam and died in Vietnam. In 1954, there is a great confusion in the mind of people in Vietnam, especially the young people, monks, nuns, lay practitioners, everyone. And the North was inspired by the Marxist-Leninist ideology. And in the South, America has picked up a Catholic in order to be president of the South. And President Ngô Đình Diệm was trying to run the country with another kind of ideology opposing the Marxist-Leninist ideology called personalism, nhân vị. Personalism. And it seems that the ideological war begins. There's a lot of confusion, and there was a newspaper, daily newspaper, who came to the Ân Quang Temple and asked Thầy to write a series of articles on Buddhism. How can Buddhism shed the light on the situation? What kind of directives we should have in order to help people settle in the thinking? We should go in what direction? Because there was a lot of confusion. And Buddhism is a very ancient tradition in Vietnam, and most of the people have the Buddhist seed in them. And Mr. Vũ Ngọc Các, who was director of the Dân Chủ newspaper, migrated from the North. He asked me to write a series of articles on Buddhism in order to offer insight, to offer the suggestions as in what direction, spiritual direction we should go in order to deal with the great confusion in the country. So I accepted, and I wrote a series of 10 articles with the title Buddhism, a fresh look on Buddhism, a new way of looking at Buddhism, đạo Phật qua nhận thức mới. Đạo Phật, the way of the Buddha, Buddhism, qua, through. A new look on the teaching of the Buddha. And it is in this series of 10 articles that I propose the idea of engaged Buddhism. So engaged Buddhism dated from 1954. Buddhism in the realm of education, Buddhism in the realm of economics, in Buddhism in the realm of politics, and so on. And I remember at that time I did not use a typewriter, I just write in the old-fashioned. And they came and they took the article, and the article was always printed in the front page with a red title big like this. A fresh look on Buddhism, a new way of looking at Buddhism. And the newspapers sold very, very well. Because people are very thirsty. They want to have a spiritual path. They want direction, a direction, because confusion was so huge. I remember Thich Nhat Hanh. He was also at the same time in the Ấn Quang temple. And he was very curious as what I wrote in the newspaper. So every morning he went down, he went to the kiosk, a newsstand, and he bought one copy of the Dân Chủ, and he read. That series of articles was printed into a book later on. And not long after, when I visited Huế, Thầy Đức Tâm, who had been in the same class with me at the Buddhist Institute. He was editor of another Buddhist magazine called Liên Hoa, Huế. The editor-in-chief is Hòa Thượng Đôn Hậu, but he was the editor. And he had his temple in a small island of the Perfume River, sông Hương, Cồn Hến. The Perfume River has an island like that called Cồn Hến, where they grow a very good corn, very tasty kind of corn. And he had his temple here. He invited me to stay a few weeks in his temple. Every morning he offered me tea with tường vi flowers. Tường vi is kind of rose, very tiny, but smells very nice when you put in the tea. And every day we do walking meditation to the neighborhood, and we bought some fresh corn. And he nourished me with rose tea and fresh corn, and he wanted me to write another series of articles on engaged Buddhism. In fact, I wrote another series of 10 articles with the title Đạo Phật Ngày Nay. Đạo Phật Ngày Nay.